What's up, fam? Bigg Vic back with another video. If you're new, welcome to my channel. If you're subscribed already and revisiting, glad you made it back to watch another epic episode. We talk about box trucking, making money, credit, mindset, and a review from time to time. So let's get right into today's video. So I have quite a few people that have subscribed to the channel and may not have been able to watch the wealth of information in my video catalog. After running my trucking business for about 2 years and 8 months, I want to give you guys my top 10 tips for new box truck business owners. Okay, tip number 1, do your due diligence on your city and region within a 3-state radius. If you have access to load boards such as DAT, Truck Stop, Amazon Relay, you'll want to get a gauge of what type of freight is available if you want to be closer to home. I understand not everyone wants to immediately go over the road when starting off. If you haven't secured your truck yet but have your MC number, you can get access to boards such as DAT, Truck Stop, and several others, but not Amazon Relay until you have at least 6 months active authority. This will allow you to take a look at how the loads move in and around your radius. You'll always hear me say study your load board. Freight moves at different rates in every city and state. Learn what the freight looks like before you leave a city and where you are dropping off at before you get there if it's regional. That's a gem. Tip number 2, should you use a dispatch or not? I had a very interesting conversation with Tom from dispatchexperts.com, and he mentioned a brief chit chat that he had with the client about the 7% dispatch fee that they charge based on the amount of accepted load. During the conversation, they crunched some numbers. An average over-the-road box truck driver with just one truck can potentially generate $20,000 a month in gross revenue. At 7%, that translates to $1,400 in dispatching fees. Now, consider an alternative scenario where you're extremely lucky and manage to hire a professional dispatcher for $15 to $18 per hour to work in your office. That would add up to a constant expense of between $2,600 and $3,500 per month. The cost analysis becomes even more revealing when you scale up to running 3 trucks at peak efficiency. Despite this increase in operational size, the 7% fee for dispatching services remains the most cost-effective choice. This approach keeps your bottom line lean, and you only pay for dispatching services when you're generating revenue, allowing your expenses to scale in line with your business. This variable expense model eliminates the need for long-term commitments that come with hiring full-time staff. During challenging economic times such as the current situation, this flexibility can be the difference between staying in business and going under. So rather than focusing solely on shaving off 5% from a dispatching company's fee, perhaps at the expense of quality, business owners should set revenue goals for the next month, quarter, and year. Take advantage of services that are tied to your revenue and offer scalability without demanding long-term commitments. Understanding the different categories of expenses and having a growth strategy that takes these into account can significantly impact your business long-term success. If you're in need of dispatching, check out dispatchexperts.com. I have a link below in my description box with a discount code attached. Tip number 3, okay, you're brand new. Brokers are changing up their rules every month, it seems. Because of the mass amount of fraud, I'd highly recommend you get a professional business email account and not a Gmail account. Brokers have been known to pay carriers less money that have emails sent from Gmail. Immediately, this spells newbie and can give them a greater reason to underprice their load. Remember, you invested in starting a business, and the least you can start off with is a professional email address, website, branding, etc. You have to separate yourself from the pack. Tip number 4, if you do an address change with Form MCS 150, be careful when using a virtual address for the business because brokers use sites like Carrier 411 or Highway to check your authority status, and if another carrier pops up using the same address, you may not be able to book that load with them. This raises a red flag in their system. They are super cautious these days with so much fraud happening in the freight business, so I get it. Tip number 5, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure that you read your rate confirmation sheets thoroughly. This is the fastest way to have your agreed upon rate come up missing with some funds. If the broker asks you to track that load before you pull off, make sure you are tracking. This has nothing to do with non-recourse factoring. If you're not familiar with that, I'll drop a video card above so you can get more clarity on that. For instance, brokers will take anywhere from $150 or more for not tracking, $100 or more for driver assist issues, late appointment deductions, lumper fees that are refunded, etc. So make sure you read that rate comp for any fees beforehand. So before you pull off, check that Raycon. Tip number 6, stay on top of your maintenance. I know once you start running a few loads and those deposits start hitting that bank account, you can tend to just jump in the truck and forget about your pre-trip inspection. Checking things like oil, coolant, transmission fluid, tires, lights, etc. I promise by doing this before every trip, you will save yourself a ton of mechanical headaches down the road. Bonus tip, be sure to ask your insurance company if you have roadside assistance covered in your policy. Tip number 7, instead of listening to music while you're driving, turn your truck into a rolling university. Anything that you're interested in outside of your trucking company, use that time to study and learn a new skill. You should be working on yourself every chance that you get. Download Audible and listen to some personal development books to sharpen your iron up. My recommendations to start off would be Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Magic of Thinking Big, The 48 Laws of Power, Getting Everything You Can Out of Everything You've Got, just to name a few. You see, once the mind has been stretched, it is difficult for it to go back to its original state. Tip number 8, write down all of your available options for moving freight with your current equipment. Will you be the driver, or would you be looking to hire a driver? The best way to retain drivers is to offer incentives. Think for a second. What would motivate you to drive for someone if you were offered a position? Driver turnover rates are extremely high in trucking due to the amount of time behind the wheel for the pay. If it wouldn't make sense for you, it probably wouldn't make sense for your driver. I'd highly recommend finding out what motivates your drivers and the reason behind why they want to drive. Look for people with goals bigger than just the money. Tip number 9, know what all of your fixed expenses will be every month. Will you have a monthly insurance premium, or will it be paid in full? Will you have a monthly note on your vehicle, or is it paid for? What are the yearly property taxes on your vehicle? Know all of these expenses up front so that when you start moving freight, you'll have a clear picture of what you need to make to be profitable from day one. Don't be out here freestyling your business and before you know it, you're exiting stage left. All right, tip number 10, stop listening to people that are not actively out here putting the work in. I stopped watching the news a long time ago, and this is why you don't hear me turning my channel into a news broadcast channel. Maybe this works for others, but I generally like to plant my feet on the soil and give you guys firsthand data on what's working right now for me at the moment. I can't tell you what the market is going to do 6 months from now, but whatever it's going to do, I'll move accordingly to stay in profit. And you should be doing the same. Don't get bogged down in the murky waters of information overload. This is what's called analysis of paralysis when you get water hosed with data and information. It leaves you stuck. Your brain gets fried, and guess what? You never start your business. Well, these are my top 10 tips for new box truck business owners. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to check out this video right here for more tips and gems on what you will need when buying a 26-foot box truck. Remember, always hustle, never stop growing. Let's go, let's get it, let's eat.